Hello. Hi, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. It's almost morning in Uganda, 5:22 p.m. Here where I am, my name is Lady Winnie. I am coming to you from home today because couldn't do the usual out there. But being a Sunday, it's possible to do it this way. Welcome. Thank you for coming today. I decided to make sure to come live today, especially after the loss of our dear comrade and friend, Miss Helen Nachimoli. May you rest in peace. I am so sorry for the circumstances surrounding your death. Even if certain things may happen, they call it fate. A lot of things happen by design in Uganda. The last few days, on Kawaka's birthday, Mrs. Helen Nachimuli was caught on camera at the event where Katikiro was present, and she made known of certain statements boldly, because speaking the truth is now a crime in Uganda. In an environment where oppression is the way of life, or is the current way of life, anybody who stands for the truth or the right becomes an enemy and is branded to be on the wrong side of what they legitimize as true and correct. Just like every law that is being tabled in Parliament now is considered, at least most of it is made to try to dim the light of His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu and likely get him to get him arrested or get him to back down from what he's doing. So unfortunately, the last two bills that have been tabled or will be tabled in a few days in Parliament, the sovereignty bill and the other bill, are definitely to suppress people of different opinion, especially National Unity Platform and NUP as a party. As we know, Museveni's goal, or the goal of the government right now, is to make sure that National Unity Platform does not exist, or the President Kyagulanyi Ssentamu no longer runs the party or gets back to Uganda. And therefore his plans, as per the video yesterday on RDI, the award ceremony, and also the speech he made in Boston where he said he will be returning home, has caused a lot and stirred up a lot of the evil plans of the government, of the Museveni people. You've seen Museveni around. It doesn't mean that he's all well and rosy or perfectly fine. As a human being, he has aged and also is definitely slowing down. Okay? So the plans are majorly to get Muhoozi to become the next president of Uganda. In fact, they think that after swearing in, they will have, Museveni will disappear, and Alupo, who is now acting vice president for Museveni, actual president, but acting more as a president while Museveni is not available to show up in certain places, is temporarily covering for a place that is intended officially for Muhoozi to take over. So may our dear comrade and friend Helen Nachimuli rest in perfect peace. We thank you very much for your contribution. Your speech is definitely a suspicious act on the side of the enemy. It seems to us that it is likely because of what she said on Kawaka's birthday that has dearly costed her life. But as we know, that is the trend of these people. We don't expect otherwise. Anybody who speaks is now somebody they are looking to end their life or do something terrible to. So I have some updates, but more so I wanted to talk about something that I recently learned, the power of social media. And it is something that was used in the last few revolutions that have happened across the globe, in in Nepal and France, Indonesia, Kenya, Peru, Madagascar, Manila, the Philippines. This, you can all look it up. I'm also going to share it on my page, okay? Because now the president has said that those who can do should do, and those who can't do should do, okay? I watched his his speech yesterday in Boston, and you know, certain things are going to take effort individually, not per his announcement or waiting for him to say do this or that. But I learned some things from a manga. A manga is one of the Japanese comics that was used. You know, Japanese comics are in series, a different series, like little books, which are written with special stories or very unique stories about different circumstances. And so the manga, this particular manga, which is one of the certain stories that are written by Japanese comics, has been used to actually ignite revolutions and successfully end some dictatorships around the world. Now, this manga in particular was called One Piece. It is called One Piece. It has been used in Nepal. You saw when the Nepali Gen Z rose up and burned their parliament because it wasn't functional. They burned their high court, the Supreme Court or Superior Court of the land. They also burned the parliament, the court, and another very special house or part of government that they had that was failing the people. And in Indonesia, where they used it, is basically a pirate movie where it's called One Piece. It's a Japanese best-selling manga where the main actors wears a straw hat. You have seen those, you know, in Acholi there's something called odero. Odero is like a sania, which is woven made of straws. Okay, I know in Buganda. No, I'm trying to think about it's some sort of material, like a basket material. And so this gentleman wore the hat. The main actor in this show is called. Anyway, I'll get to it. But it is the real legitimate revolution, a real life revolution presented in a book and a movie. It is called One Piece, okay? The president said, those who do, do, and those who don't, do. So, whatever you can, wherever you can, wherever you are, do whatever you can with what you have, okay? So, this is something that we can all look up. It's online. Successfully used. It is used in areas where there's been a lot of government oppression especially the newer generation, the Gen Zs, who had, you know, corrupt governments, poor quality of life, inability to dream, severe oppression of natives or natives of the land, and so it's known today as the symbol of legitimate real life. It is a flag. You see how Museveni doesn't want us to carry the Uganda flag anywhere in Kampala. In fact, if you carried it, you know, people were arrested, other people have been killed and all of that. So this symbol of this flag became a symbol for Gen Z to communicate amongst themselves, to share that we are here, we're with you, we're in this together, so to speak. So when you saw the flag with somebody else, you knew there was an ally there. And so in Indonesia, where this started, that was in 2005. It started because the truck drivers who started actually posting or hosting the flag on the trucks, they were being oppressed by the government by, they were putting a law into place where they had to reduce the load of things they can carry, or the truckload they can carry of certain items, which means they would have less income. They spent a lot on fuel, but they wouldn't make ends meet like they used to. So the same thing that's happening in Uganda, the same oppression by powers that be. So the main actor or character is called Monkey D. Doofy. Monkey D. Doofy, okay? It's called, so he becomes the main character of the revolution. In the movie, he stands up to every power that is. This is a life that is on a boat by pirates trying to look for a treasure. But in the process, they find each other where he tries to find an ally with strong characters with different abilities, okay? Just like being National Unity Platform, we have several different powerful in different ways people. Joel Senyonyi, is perfect for where he is at Lope and questioning. He did very well in his previous position too. Mr. Waiswa Mufumbiro, great speaker. No wonder he's the speaker of the party. Everybody somehow was positioned because of their abilities and what they could do. And so this doofy monkey guy, he goes around and protects the people who are being oppressed, and he brings them onto as an ally, And so so he stands up to power. There were people, they had certain governments that were very strong, just like this one that we have now, that oppressed people, and they were, they did everything they could. They spent everything on themselves. They didn't care about the person on the ground. And so this gentleman, Monkey D. Luffy, became sort of a symbol, and he didn't care what he had or what he had to lose, but his goal was to get people to be fairly treated and not oppressed, and discontinue the oppression by the powerful. He had himself, like we have our Excellency Chagulanyi Sentamu, the powers that he's recognized in different places. He's received, and different doors are open for him. But while he's doing that, he's allying with the right people to also meet, the other ends of the revolution as needed. And he didn't care about societal pressure. So society pressure is like, His Excellency saying, I'm going to be all in. Like right now, his home is destroyed. All of his wealth is frozen. His land titles are taken. Whatever would be a comfort of his life, he's given up. And that's the essence of that gentleman in the movie. And so the celestial dragons, they have some dragons in the movie as well, which represent the royalties. And these royalties, in symbolism to what we have now, is how the Musevenis are trying to live, trying to seem as though they are better than Ugandans, and that we must, obey them, and we must live under them as their slaves. So this movie typically was something almost like set in Uganda, the same lifestyle we have, but in a revolution like we are right now. But they had a symbol that united all of them, and having that flag meant that they had whoever else supported that flag behind them. Okay, it was to stir up chaotic good. And so when the Nepali youth rose up, you remember, Nepal recently got rid of a dictator and a family monarchy type cabal that was existing in the country. They got rid of that by using the one piece flag, which successfully got them into a successful end of a revolution. So several countries have so far used it. It's all over the world, okay? So when they talk of social media ban, at the time when Indonesia started to use this flag, the president named it a treasonous act to carry the flag. And in fact, they ended up banning it. and calling it a terrorist act to actually own and have the flag. So what we are going through in similarity is what I want to say is that we are doing the right thing and we are in the right place at the right time. So I will interject other similarities that we have now as we go along. Okay? So some of the real life revolutions are the things that His Excellency is going through. Protesters in Nepal, they burned their own parliament, as you remember, because it wasn't functioning for them. Our parliament in Uganda now serves Museveni. It is the reason why after Chankwanzi, the NRM were all dished out 100 million each, so that they feel comfortable to pass on the next bills, which is the land bill, and then the sovereignty bill, and then the social media bill that just came out also recently. So in essence, it is possible that our revolution absolutely can and will succeed as long as we band together and not worry about what our personal losses are, because there's not much to lose anyway, because they're coming at us. They're coming at people. All the houses that are being broken down right now are houses that belong to, a lot of them belong to actually the poor, the part of Uganda that builds Uganda. And so it is not fair that we all sit on and watch, because when the foot soldiers, or the start of National Unity Platform, when His Excellency started speaking about the things that are going on and the suffering and the things that were going on that weren't right, there were some areas of Uganda or parts of the communities that were saying, we don't want to get involved because, like the people on the markets used to say, we don't want to get involved because our children, we have to pay school fees, and our businesses are what supports us, and so on, so on. So everyone, the bodabodas, the taxi people, they said, we're later, we're working for today's meal or tomorrow's meal, not knowing that now the laws that are being made to make sure that Kampala is depopulated, which means taxis, bodabodas, all those resources or sources of income that are menial are now no longer allowed to operate in Kampala. So which means, where are they going to go? It looks to me like Uganda is closing in. Every effort that is made for change for Uganda means well for every Ugandan. So even if you feel like you're temporarily doing well right now, it is very short-lived, because it's coming. When I read to you the security alerts I have today, nothing is meant for any good for Uganda. Everything they're trying to work on is to make sure to bring the people of Uganda to their knees, to make them slaves for the Rwandese. You saw a video of the girl riding the bicycle, and then there was a video that there was a post that I shared of the woman whose kiosk was taken away, loaded on a truck and taken away. Those two videos, now I understand the people who are trying to offer help are Gashumba's daughter, Sheila Gashumba, and the father, Mr. Gashumba. Those are both Rwandese. This is a typical picture they're trying to paint of Ugandans needing help and them coming to rescue Ugandan people. Now, I don't know how you feel about that, but to me it seems like their script is coming true for them, the way they want Uganda to be. And what really does Gashumba do in real life? Is there any job that you know that Gashumba does? Do you know what Sheila actually does to earn a living? No. They don't work. They thrive on stealing from Ugandans and doing things that are dubious and earning like land and assets like that. Then they sell or do whatever they do with it. But there's nothing truly like hard work that other Ugandans are doing. So in essence, it is the abuse that we have seen coming in, creeping in slowly, and evidently coming in the larger picture. So in what I'm saying is that if we don't do something now, it's only going to get worse. If you're comfortable now, it is very short-lived, because they want all these houses in Kampala demolished, because they want to bring up their buildings and structures and have us rent and pay heavy rents, electricity, water, and all these things to them, which means we will continuously become slaves to them. A lot of the buildings in Kampala are owned by Salim Saleh and the first family. Speaking of which, most of Museveni's family members are not in Uganda now. If you're close friends with them, you will notice that you are not going to see a lot of them here and there. In fact, they plan that after swearing in, Muhoozi will then come off as CDF and will then become vice president somewhat. Alupo will be eliminated from that position. I don't know the rest of that, how that will happen. And so that will make Muhoozi next in line to be president. So let's say Museveni leaves, or which he plans to because he's quite ill. He plans to actually exit Uganda and never appear or come back to Uganda again, but leaving his offspring, this Muhoozi person, to remain in leadership in Uganda. As also they're trying to eliminate all kingdoms or local cultural communities in Uganda because they want Muhoozi to be, for example, the Kabaka or the leader, a monarchical leader of Uganda, which means that when you see things like the Muhoozi coming up with a run to overrun the Kabaka's run on his birthday, those are all small efforts leading to larger results that they expect for them. But that does not mean that it will end that way. I just want us to especially focus on things that will help us bring change to the country. Looking at the One Piece comic or manga, I saw with a lot of hope that something is achievable, and through this, like it was achieved in different countries, like in Paris they did, in Indonesia the government never changed, but at least they felt the pressure and they had to make stiff changes as necessary. In Nepal they changed the whole government. In Madagascar they did change the whole government. If you've heard, the last maybe year or so, the government of Madagascar was changed as well. In the Philippines, Manila, that also happened, okay? In Nepal, the thing that struck the Gen Z to go to the streets in thousands was because they were protesting the government. In Indonesia, a 21-year-old in Indonesia was killed for no reason in the capital of Indonesia, Jakarta. What happened after that was thousands of youth taking to the streets and having a major change in their government. In Nepal, when they decided to take to the streets, they were successful. In fact, you saw pictures where the Nepalese Gen Zs were in the in the president's home and taking photos because they were successfully able to oust that president. Okay, the flag of the One Piece movie is the Jolly Rancher, Jolly Roger of the Hat Pirates. The pirates didn't just hunt for treasure, but also they fought the oppressed powers. In the movie, you will see that the army had become too powerful. You know, they felt like they can do anything, just like they do in Uganda. They could do anything. People disappeared. They killed people without explanation. They abducted people and did whatever they want. And then there was a monarchy where there was a king and a son. You can see the son, just like Muhoozi, the son, my goodness, he felt like nobody would tell him anything because his father is so and so and whatever. And so that, you know, this gentleman, the Monkey D. Luffy, he was able to show them that people power is the actual power. And so they used whatever means possible and toppled. He did. Every community where there was a certain power that was oppressing people, they took down. So I believe that with the comparison, this is exactly what is going on in Uganda. We must continue demanding for our freedom. We must. Okay, we must continue demanding for the freedom of the people, the ones in prison, the ones who are anywhere, but more so empower ourselves. If somebody is going to be abducted, there has to be something that can be done. Okay, if we bring security alerts and say this is about to happen, or prepare ourselves, people at home, do something about what might be happening, because I think folding our arms and waiting is going to cost all of us our lives. All of us. So I'm not, I'm not saying carelessly show up and do whatever you feel and put yourself in danger. No, I say carefully, show some sort of strength, because until that happens, they're not going to let go. This is going to continue happening. In the protests all over the world where this flag was used, they symbolize the same qualities of activity or what they were looking to be or looking to get out of the different areas where it was used. So Gen Z have successfully, and which is most of the population of Uganda, the younger generation, were able to do that and more, but more so bring about a change in our country. Okay, the flag is a reminder that no dream is too absurd, no fight is too small. So in whatever you do, whatever you can, it is worth it. So don't underestimate your efforts. It may be small, it may be in a community where you are, where you work. Use whatever you can wherever you are. Resist, okay? Report, record, share, so that everyone is collectively working, because right now they're afraid. They're actually scared, especially with the president saying that he is coming back. Yesterday he mentioned it very clearly, and even at the RDI event he mentioned very clearly that he's coming back. So Muhoozi and Salim Saleh are extremely shaken by that fact, because in their hopes they felt that if once His Excellency is out of the country, they are now able to make sure. Mercy, no, don't stay in the video. My son's here. Have a seat, baby. They want to make sure that they take charge and not have him come back. But the president is coming back, and so we will make sure to update you with every step of the way that the stuff that they're planning. Okay? In Indonesia, let's see, the reasons for the protests was because of the gaps between the rich and the poor, which is clearly happening in Uganda. You know, they think that they should only exist as rich people in the country and poor people should not exist. That is why they're breaking all those buildings and destroying businesses for the young, the Ugandans who are not of wealthy class. Obviously, there are those who are the rich ones who don't think that this is going to get to them. They're the ones who are stopping us from speaking. They're the ones who are stopping or discouraging efforts of change being made, or strides of change being made all over by the National Unity Platform. But in essence, they're in waiting. They're in line to get attacked. I understand in one of my security alerts, they're saying that Muhoozi and the Salim Salehs are saying, well, we did not give them orders to go and demolish those homes. So if you know or have an attorney or a lawyer for somebody who actually had their house broken or their business broken, they actually have the opportunity to sue, because the Muhoozis say, well, we did not send them, or there was no documentation presented for demolitions in certain places. So you can see that this is just a mafia style of doing things without actual orders from court. So if you double check or you know somebody whose building or facility was demolished, you will note that there is no actual order that was given for that demolition to take place. Therefore, it was done in the wrong. But that is how they've been operating. So that means the blame now lies on the person who demolished, not the Muhoozis or not the Salim Salehs. You know, we constantly tell Ugandans who are being sent to do this dirty work that in the end, when it comes to it, when the rubber meets the road, to say that who did what, these people will not be anywhere with their hands stained. You people who are sent to do these things are the ones who are caught in the act. Now, if anybody sues about this, the Muhoozis will not care if you are actually remanded or you're dealt with by law, okay? Because you went by word of mouth to go and demolish a building, which you are supposed to take an order from the court stating that so and so and so and so this is happening. I saw somebody, in fact, somebody I really care about, posted on my page when I posted the picture of the lady with her kiosk being taken away. These are the elites I talk about who are comfortable and doing well and will say certain things that point a finger to or at the actual person who is the victim of a circumstance like that. So he said, according to him, that I should focus on the fact that the kiosk lady who put her kiosk in that place put it right in front of a shop of another person Therefore, I should also look to the loss of the person whose kiosk was put in front of, whose shop was the kiosk was put in front of. What I'd like to say to somebody like that, I'm going to respond to this publicly because I am constantly being talked down by somebody or people like these. That kiosk, that shop that he's talking about, he has no idea that the idea behind it, those shops are actually owned by these Rwandese people. It is why they're throwing away the buildings of actual Ugandans and people who are, cannot afford, or even if they can, they are people who legitimately own the land or the property are being destroyed because they want to take over that land by force. So, Mr. Somebody, you know who you are because you did respond to my post. The intention of taking that kiosk away is not because, and this kiosk is only a symbol of several others. I've seen even 4-story buildings being knocked down. That has nothing to do with building in front of somebody else's structure. That kiosk may be just one of several, which they're saying now that they're going to break all of National Unity Platform buildings and the ghetto homes because they believe that that is the area where the president was hidden all this while they were looking for him. So people like you who come and respond to my post, when I post about the victims of such circumstances, it is a matter of time. I know that you're well-to-do and you're comfortable, but we don't have to forget our brothers and sisters who are struggling, because nobody else will speak for somebody like this. Indeed, when her kiosk is taken, nobody knows if she'll recover any item even in there. And the Gashumbas now rise to say, I will help you, what's her contact number? It's just, in essence, the goal that they want to achieve, to make Ugandans their slaves so that they can give us crumbs and we'll live on that. The elites are still comfortable because they have some income or money for now. That's very temporary. Okay? So the other thing was the other reason for the protest was corruption, which you see all over the government, okay? It is no wonder that all the jobs in the main or larger offices are given to only these Rwandese people. They can literally have a monthly meeting or a weekly meeting in Rwanda. The police is full of them, the immigrations. In fact, they have now put SFCs officially in immigration because with the president coming back, they want to make sure that any entrance he makes into the country, if caught or found, they want to have SFCs in every point of entry. So immigrations, I'm talking the borders, I'm talking the airport, I'm talking other means of getting into Uganda. They want to make sure anybody who sets eyes on the president is going to offer that information immediately, and they've promised him a ton of wealth, money, whatever, a job, just as long as somebody reports, because in their plans, they still think they will eliminate His Excellency Chagulanyi Ssentamu, which is out of this world. But I tell you, these people can dream, okay? They're free to do that. So SFCs have infiltrated every possible higher up or military or security or offices to just be able to share communication right away. I have a document that I'm going to go over and share with you. This was shared by, it's a 48-page document. Once I go through it, I will share most of it. This is a document that is written by a Rwandese sect. There are some Rwandese actually who are also exhausted with the efforts of the Musevenis trying to take over Uganda and subdue Ugandans to make them slaves of theirs. So I have a document. I wish I could make it a book. I may be able to, but it's something to share, something from their hearts and the plans that these people have to make sure that Ugandans do not thrive, do not have jobs, do not have education. In fact, another school bus has agreed, or bus driver has agreed to let students or children burn in a bus. So that's a security alert that I want to interject somehow in here. They're planning to have that done in the next week or so. So I don't know which school yet, but once we do, I will share so that we're aware and we can stop that. Their goal is to cause more atrocities. There will be more fires. There's going to be severe abduction of new National Unity Platform members because because of His Excellency coming back. What the Mohozis and Salim Salehs want is a circumstance where His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu has no supporters. Like he will walk alone or have no guards or not have any friends with him or not have any members. So all of the National Unity Platform strongholds, like the people, the support team, especially the ones who, you know, make the day-to-day life possible, his secretary, for example, foot soldiers and all of those, there's going to be severe abductions coming up, even worse than what we've seen. So be careful wherever you are, whatever you can do. Like I said, President said, those who can do, and those who can't do. Okay, so let's pay attention to that. Let's focus, stay focused. The other reason why the protests happened was the lack of opportunities, which is very similar to what we have in Uganda. The youth have no means to get anywhere, no matter what you study or what you become. You cannot succeed no matter what. Okay? Even if you have studied, you've seen many people, many youth who have gone through university, some who are doctors, some who have done bioengineering, go into the Middle East to work as housemaids because jobs are only by who's and who knows who's. And so that's why those who are comfortable and comfortably speaking, the elites who try to swat me from speaking, they're the ones who have those connections and not the rest of Ugandans. But we're trying to take that back. So that's what this movie or the flag, what it means. The other thing that they tried to fight was attempts to censor the internet, which is again something that came up recently. The new bill, one of the bills that has to do with censoring people like us who speak from abroad and even those inside Uganda, to try to make sure that we are not able to share or speak anymore because of what they're going to label us as. I'm not afraid of that. I don't think that's possible. That's something they can do from where I am, because it's impossible. So those are all similar circumstances that are happening in Uganda right now. You know, we have the gap between the rich and the poor. We have the corruption severely. We have the lack of opportunities for our people and constant attempts to censor the internet, just like they did when the election day happened. Ugandans, I want us to know that the military and the police are in our support. They are just body fillers for the NRM government. Indeed, the hearts of the people in the military and the police are with us. They want change desperately, like I said. And some of the people who are from Rwanda who just don't like what is happening. I have this document that I'm going to be perusing through and bringing you some updates. So now let me go back to my alerts that I'd like to share with you here. So the Kabaka's Run, as you know, Muhoozi is trying to, the Muhoozi's birthday run, he's trying to use that to trump over the Kabaka's Run, because what he wants to do is to, the intention originally is to get Muhoozi on a fast track to making him a monarch in Uganda. So that is why you see most of the kingdoms and the local chiefdoms are mute when things like this happen to people, because they've been given comfort. They've been given lots of money. They've been given vehicles. They can no longer speak and be on the side of the people. I come from a royal family myself, but that's besides the point here, because, you know, let that be what be. They cannot come out and say anything because they're extremely comfortable in their life and made comfortable by this corrupt government, okay? Immigration officers, like I said, are going to be, after being shocked about the president saying that he's coming back, they are going to use SFC in all immigration offices, every entry into Uganda, entry and exit into Uganda. In fact, one of the reasons why Mrs. Chayune, the secretary's, no, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu's secretary, the wife of the secretary, was abducted, and after several weeks, of not knowing where she is. In fact, even the courts denied that they had her. So did the military and police, denying to have her. They rushed her into a court and dumped her, and immediately ruled that she has to go to, that she committed a crime of sharing a message that caused some sort of, detriment somewhat. And so she was remanded to actual prison. The wife of the secretary of His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. It is not, there's really not a crime there, but they forged and foiled some things here and there. But that goes to show you how failed and corrupt the judiciary system is, because after denying having her, seeing her, they rushed to make a ruling on her without even questioning where has she been. Because the right thing to do was to say, who has been holding this woman? Bringing them to book and saying, well, why have you been holding her? Instead of denying and then perusing through and getting her remanded. The goal is to take all National Unity Platform members into custody somehow. Also, killing as many as possible. I just heard a video of a phone call that was dialed in by a Abotodde rider in Kampala, who says that Kampala has gone to the dogs. The business of boda has been taken over by these Rwandese. So when you travel through Kampala and use bodas, be very careful. There are signs where the mirrors, those boda mirrors, sometimes they have two, sometimes they have one. It's going to be very hard to tell the difference now, but make sure when you're getting on a boda, you can see the license plate clearly. Because the ones that are performing these atrocities of abductions and killings, or putting coliform on somebody's face and causing unconsciousness so that they can steal or kill, are being performed by either the ghetto structures, who have their mirror to the left side of the motorcycle, and then the ones who have the mirror to the right side of the motorcycle are the ones who are state agents. So if you are of change, somebody of change who's popular or known, it is possible, or ratted out, obviously, because there's some people who are giving away information day and night. If you are one of those, you want to make sure that when you are taking on a boda, you can see the actual license plate, because the ones who are performing these acts of killings and hurting people are the ones whose license plates are either covered or twisted or facing up, such that when it's taken away from the crime scene, nobody can record or take a picture of that license plate to identify who actually drives it. So bodas with a mirror on the right are state agents, and the ones with a mirror to the left are the ghetto structures of the Damu leaders, who are performing a lot of atrocity on National Unity Platform or people of change in Uganda. So be careful with that. What they're finding is that they're foiling people with something with chloroform and taking what their properties are. Some of them are being hacked with a panga, some of them are being killed, some of them are dumped, and they're found deeply asleep. Deeply asleep means that they've consumed something that has messed with their consciousness, and so they'll wake up much later not knowing where they are or what has happened. So it is quite something there for those travelers in Kampala. Next on, they have a lot of pressure in government. I understand they have about 7 dead bodies, but they don't want to declare. Every day they're debating whether to declare or not. Should we say, should we not? Should we announce, should we not? In the next few days, they're trying to see how to divert attention from His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. So they may declare a few before swearing in and after swearing in, so that it will take to social media, so that we don't talk about anything else other than those people who have passed on. Okay, so I talked about the borders. The school bus. Soon you're going to see, so we talked about the school bus. I don't know which school yet, but there's yet another school bus. You remember when I posted about Little Muheju school bus being burned. The driver had been privy to that information. And because that information got out, they went and hanged the driver of that bus. And they said the driver killed himself. That was a lie. It was because that security alert had come out, and so they felt like he was the one that shared the information. So those children were saved because of what we were able to share. Okay. Sanyu Baby's home. Muhoozi is going to go and visit Sanyu Baby's home because these people are very spiritual and evil. They are looking to have at least 700 children gone so that they can use them as sacrifice for their whatever path. To bring on Muhoozi, apparently, that is something that they have to do to satisfy his vajaja, or whatever that is. You know what that means. It's some sort of witchcraft. So up to 700 people are children are wanted by a witchcraft practitioner of Muhoozi from all tribes in Uganda. Okay, so this is going to happen from different parts of Uganda. After Muhoozi visiting Sanyu Baby's home, which is going to do in the next couple of days, he's going to set up something. There's going to be bombs and all kinds of manners of killing to be able to get that, because that's the pathway apparently to get Muhoozi to become a leader or a president of Uganda. Just like when his father came, there was a lot of people in Luero who, died, who were killed. Chichwamba, there were people. Acholi, I can't even tell you how many. Speaking of Acholi, I see a lot of talk about HIV and how it's gotten rampant and all over Acholi. Let me say this, my Acholi people. HIV was intentionally brought into Acholi, just like nodding disease into Acholi region and every region in Uganda. Specifically in Acholi, I have a video of an investigative journalist who did a documentary about how come the Acholi, the powerful and the strong and it used to be what Acholi was known for, all disappeared or were dead. My father was in the military in Acholi. He was an Acholi. My father's family was full of military, people of the military. My great-grandfather may have fought in some of the wars in the West, one of those world wars or something, because he was of that age. Thank you, babe. Okay. Here's some water. So, just the video tells how Museveni, in his ways, injected the Acholi people. Go tell Daddy I'm on a video. Injected Acholi soldiers or people at Lacho Hospital who came to seek treatment. They were injected with the virus to get them sick so that they would all die and Acholi would lose the strength of the area, which was in their manpower, in their military power, and the most elites in the area. Acholi being part of northern Uganda, which they had a president, Abotodde, a lot of them were educated. Just like the Buganda was booming with a lot of business and Busoga booming with industrial, burst into industrial age and all of that, Acholi people have never gotten rid of HIV and will not, because it's purposefully and intentionally a government policy to keep them subdued, to keep them from regrouping and becoming a strong, as it used to be, Acholi sub-region. The fear of them regrouping to come back and overthrow a government like this now is why Salim Saleh has domiciled in Acholi. So when we question things like HIV is getting worse, it is only going to get worse because there's more plans to come and do more in Acholi and get them even worse than they are right now. So that was a side thing about that. And like I mentioned, Muhoozi is going to come in as a president of Uganda after Museveni supposedly swears in, but that may not happen because my president is also not sleeping wherever he is. Okay, there's still going to be fires in ghetto places, in their homes and places like those, because they want to make sure that those ghetto people are not empowered or strong, especially when the president comes back to the country. I have something else here. Okay. So that is what I have for today. But don't be afraid to use what you have wherever you are, because in whatever efforts you can do, those who can speak, you can, whatever else you can. President said, those who can do, and those who cannot do, do. So let's stay focused. Let's keep fighting. This is definitely where we should be. I want all Ugandans to know that this is where we should be. You know, there's never been a challenger of Museveni like His Excellency Chagulanyi Sentamu. Whatever they called him is his past. What he is now is a liberator of Uganda, and that liberation is resounding all over the country, all over the world. Okay, so let's stay strong. Let's keep fighting. Let's make sure whatever you're doing is the right thing, because the pressure is being felt. They are feeling the pressure and they're very fearful. It is why the family of Museveni is no longer in Uganda, including his past wife, obviously. You look for the Natashas and their husbands and so on. You're not going to take side of them normally, because things are not normal. All those are signs of change, okay? So I love you and leave you, and we will